Let's first kick it off with John Bowman. John Bowman is the Director of Customer Success here at Jetpack Workflow. He has helped directly over 1,000 accounting firms. 1,000 accounting firms optimize their workflow. He also has experience working at some of the largest tax chains in the country. He's also done process optimization for Fortune 500 companies. He also has a JD from West Virginia University. Highly accomplished man. He knows a lot about workflow. I'm going to hand it over to him now to take things off. So let me go ahead and zoom out, and let's let John run with the first presentation of the day. John, can you go ahead and hit share?
Yeah, I just need you to stop sharing, my friend.
All right, there we go. That's what it's about today. So we're going to learn a little bit today. You know, some days it's going to be a little bit like jazz, but anyways, all right, John, go for it.
Little bit like jazz. I love that idea. Folks, I just need to make sure that you can all see my screen and that you can hear me. We're all looking good. David, everything look fine on your end?
Everything looks good here, John.
Oh, glad. All right, let's get started. David, thank you for that awesome intro, folks. Like he mentioned, my name is John Bowman. Yeah. So we've probably met at some point if you're a Jetpack Workflow customer. If not, I'm looking forward to meeting you today. But again, David, thank you for that kind introduction, and thank you everyone for coming today. Like David mentioned, my name is John Bowman, and I'm the Director of Customer Success at Jetpack Workflow. That basically means I head up our whole fulfillment side of the business. My teams ensure all of our customers are getting enough value from our service, and that's entirely our reason for existing. So what Jetpack Workflow does, we are the premier practice management tool in the accounting sphere. You have clients, those clients have projects. We help you manage all of that. And why you should listen to me today, David got a little bit into this. Well, I've personally implemented Jetpack Workflow at over 1,000 firms. I've also been quoted in Accounting Today as a workflow expert. I've worked as a tax preparer in the past, and I have a green belt in Lean Sigma 6. And today we're going to talk about throughput and borrow heavily from something called the theory of constraints. If you're not familiar with TOC, it's a business management philosophy and project management discipline. We're going to use throughput to give you a way to continually improve your firm. So let's talk about our agenda today. So I'm going to be talking about the goal of your firm. We're going to talk about what is throughput, why it's important, what is the balanced firm, 2 ways to manage your throughput, next steps in implementing at your firm, and the continual improvement process. Now, this is a lot to get through in about 10 or 15 minutes, folks. Everything is being recorded. You're going to be able to have this after, so feel free to ask your questions. We'll also try and answer those as we go. Without further ado, let's talk about the goal of your firm. So what is the goal of your firm? Maybe you want to spend more time with your family. Maybe it's to make the world a better place, but really the goal of your firm or any business in general is to make money. And by making money, you can spend more time with your family or make the world a better place. The money-making part is how you achieve your other goals. But the reality is it's not just making money. What you really want to do is you want to make money efficiently. In other words, you want to increase net profit and cash flow while simultaneously decreasing operational costs. So how does throughput factor into increasing net profit and cash flow while simultaneously decreasing operational costs? Well, let's talk a bit about throughput. So what is throughput? Here's a definition we're going to use today. Throughput is the rate at which your firm generates money through sales. Sales is really the important factor here. If you do something for a client and don't get paid, then that's not throughput. And I know we've all been in that position before, but again, that's not throughput. You're going to have different throughputs for different services at your firm as well. Your bookkeeping might be a little bit different than perhaps your tax. But throughput impacts and drives the net profit and cash flow parts of the efficient money making at your firm. And this is because your firm's throughput is the speed at which your firm is making money. I'm just going to repeat that. Your firm's throughput is the speed at which your firm is making money, and thus it dictates your cash flow and your net profit. So why is throughput important besides what I just had to say about it? Well, your firm and every other business in the world is like a chain of interlocking departments. You might have a marketing link, right? And that marketing link is going to lead into the sales link, and then that's going to lead into the fulfillment link. You get the idea. These all work together. Your throughput is the speed at which money is flowing through your chain of departments. Your firm and every business in the world is actually facing a problem where you have to manage that chain and flow of money. On one hand, you can maybe cut operational expenses considerably and reduce any apps or workers that, that allow you to automate things. But this is going to make your clients angry because you're no longer delivering enough value to them, right? Or you're doing it at a reduced pace. On the other hand, you can also hire a ton of people and sign up for every automation software in the business and deliver a ton of value to your customers without any regard to cost. But that's not going to be any good either because your costs are going to kill you. You're just going to spend too much and go out of business quickly. So the problem you're facing is you have to control your costs while at the same time controlling the throughput of jobs through your firm to ensure your customers get the value they want. And you already know this, right? We all kind of inherently know this, but I want to be explicit about it. We want to spell it out. Because the thing about throughput is that most every firm in the entire world ignores it. I'm just going to put it out there. And that's okay, right? Like, I don't know if you're even thinking about this or not. Just feel okay if this is happening because it's something that you should be thinking about. You may be thinking about throughput in terms of capacity planning. It's not just capacity planning though, right? Capacity planning is half of the equation. And the idea of capacity planning brings me to the idea of something I call the balanced firm. Now, you may not have heard of this idea of the balanced firm before. It's honestly something I made up. So what is the balanced firm? Well, it's capacity planning is a good thing, right? Don't get me wrong. You don't want operational costs to creep in and out of control. But sometimes firms get carried away with the idea of trimming capacity to the point where it actually, they want it to exactly meet market demand for your services. They want it to be no more and no less. Frankly, this is impossible, folks. Firm owners try to do this because if you have too much capacity, you're wasting money. You're missing an opportunity to reduce operational expenses. And if you don't have enough capacity, you're cheating yourselves on potential throughput. You've got market demand, but you can't fulfill it. So I'm here to tell you that the perfectly balanced firm, it's a myth. Yes, you should worry about operational costs and creating, capacity planning, but you shouldn't let it define your firm. What is the balanced firm myth, or sorry, why particularly is this a myth? Why is it so hard? Well, there's three variables I usually love to point to. And the first one, something David hit on earlier, it's your customers. Everything you do for your clients requires your customers to participate. You need to get the money from them, or you need to get it, not the money, you need to get the information from them, or you need to get it from a proxy of your customer. This means that part of your project management, the problem, it's out of your control. It's unpredictable. You can't force people who are paying you money to give you stuff when you need it to. You can try to, right? But it doesn't always, maybe you have to sacrifice a part of the relationship. So I've yet to meet a firm in the entire world that can predict when a customer is going to get back to them with information they need to do the work they have to do. It's just not possible. If you have a firm like that, please let us know because we'd love to take that and turn it into a software. It'd be really, really great. So that's the first variable that really makes it impossible. The second variable we want to talk about here is your workforce, right? It's constantly changing. You might have people who quit. You might be hiring new people. You have to train them. There might be inconsistencies in training. Maybe some people don't care about quality like they should. Perhaps there's poor management. Perhaps there's poor planning. All of these things are factors that can make it impossible to balance capacity perfectly. And third, this is perhaps the most important one, it's the market demand for the services you're offering, right? You can't always predict the market. You might be, you might be expecting demand for CFO services, right? And but really, you're not getting anything there. Instead, you're getting a ton of payroll requests, and your payroll team's entirely booked up. You got to switch your capacity around. So we all know this too, right? Global pandemics happen. Who knew about PPP loans last month? Who knew that tax season was going to be extended to July? I didn't. Now, that's not going to happen every year, but the idea is the market changes, and we should know that. So how do you manage these variables? Okay, it's not impossible, but I usually tell folks that there are two ways or lenses at looking at managing your firm. The first is what I call the cost lens. This is when you hold up a lens to your eye and all you can see is the cost and things. Your monocle is filled with the price tags. Truthfully, this is how most of us manage our companies and how most owners manage their firms. We like cost because it's something we feel like we can control. And most firms look at capacity planning with a cost lens and try to trim capacity as much as they can so that no resource is sitting idle and everybody has something to work on. If you take this to an extreme, you're probably going to eventually lay off people and maybe remove automations because they're too expensive. And at this point, I need to remind you of the goal of your firm, okay? The goal of your firm is to increase net profit and cash flow while simultaneously reducing operational costs. Laying people off only improves operational costs. It doesn't increase your inflow of cash or your net profit, folks, okay? maybe sometimes net profit. But the general idea is that that's not really managing towards the goal. The other option for managing your firm is what I call the throughput lens. And this is when you put on the throughput monocle and the whole world becomes a blur of speed. With this way of managing your firm, you prioritize and invest in things that increase your throughput above costs, right? It's something that, if something can cut the rate at which you make money, then why not invest in it, right? Why not do it? To be clear, when you manage your firm with a throughput lens, you take the cost world as a given. Nobody thinks we should live in a world where we don't care about costs. But the goal is to reduce operational costs while increasing net profit and cash flow. So you prioritize cash flow and net profit when you're considering investments. Speed is king. So next steps. How do you implement this at your firm? Well, it's simple. That which gets measured gets managed. I know that sounds simple, but what you need to do is track how long things take at your company and be able to report on those times. Some of you are already tracking time, which is great, but you're only doing it on the fulfillment side of your business. You're not really doing it on the marketing or sales side either. If you have a CRM, you should already have this. And what I mean by that is you should know the date of first contact with the lead and when the lead was actually closed won. You can combine that sales data with your project management tracker to know how long it takes you to make money. If you want to get really sophisticated with it, you can figure out marketing timeframes too. How long it takes a prospect to become a lead, for example. And if you're a Jetpack Workflow customer, this is easy to get started on. You can go into the app, go to the completed job section, narrow it down by job type, and you can report out on the throughput of those jobs. The beauty of our software is that you can create jobs for anything. Sales, marketing. Some of our customers are already using it to track their leads in their sales process. And ideally, you can put every part of your business in the Jetpack Workflow, all the links in your chain, so to speak. With that being said, let's get into our final thoughts and the continual improvement process. Remember, your company is like a chain of linked together departments that depend on one another. The way that you create constant improvement in your company is by managing throughput and using the chain metaphor. When you know how much time each individual department makes, you can combine them to figure out the throughput of your entire firm. You can also break these links down to know which link takes the longest. This is the weakest link at your firm. This is the bottleneck of your firm. And this is the area of your biggest constraint. The throughput of the entire firm is constrained by your slowest working department. And this is true for any job that you're working on too, folks. Every job is going to be constrained by the slowest working person. So if you increase the capacity at your weakest link, then you can upgrade the throughput for your entire system. And this is where we get into the continuous improvement process. It's just rinse and repeat. Once you fix the weakest link, then you move on to the next weakest link, and you'll gradually be improving your firm over time while gradually reducing your throughput. The best part of all this, in my opinion, is that it's easily trackable inside of a spreadsheet, right? All you need to do is put these times down and you can track them over time inside of a spreadsheet.
Awesome, John. Hey, thank you so much.
I'm done anyways, David. You're good.
Perfect timing, perfect timing. Let's go ahead and end the screen share on your end. Hey, I got different glasses, everybody. It was such a big hit. I turned on my yellow glasses. So thank you, John. That was amazing. I think there's some really big takeaways from that presentation. You know, I love the concept of speed at which you're making money. You really think about throughput, you can think about that specific item you had mentioned. So like I said, if anybody has other takeaways, share them, list them, broadcast them. We love it.